Welcome back to Skippers, presented by Owner's Box Weekly Fantasy Sports. Once again, Jeremy, Sandy, and I can help you build and manage the best possible fantasy baseball team for 2021. Today, bit of a different episode, special episode. We recently completed our first ever draft as a show for the FSGA Experts League. I mean, in this league, we're competing against some of the top dogs. Former MLB GM Jim Bowden represents SiriusXM, and obviously Eric Carabell from ESPN.
Avery, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate you spending some time, and good luck this season in this league.
Appreciate it, fellas. It's an honor.
See that, Steve? He said it was an honor to talk to me.
I got to tell you what, they did a pretty good job in the draft too. I mean, a little later it got thin, but I thought they did a really nice job. Madrigal for second base, and they got Lux that we talked about. But you look at what they were able to get with this Flaherty and Burns and Berrios. You got to roll the R's, guys. Berrios.
Yes.
Sorry.
And thank you. And then Ohtani is the wild card. But interesting draft for them. And I actually think they put together a pretty good team.
So today we're going to run you through our picks, some of our in-draft strategies. So Jared, start us off by telling the viewers the league format.
Yeah, for sure. So it's a 14-teamer. That's pretty much the basis. And sort of positions that were surprises was corner infield, middle infielder, 2 catchers, 5 outfielders, and then 9 pitching slots. So obviously a massive roster. So in the first round, we had the 3rd overall pick, and Avery and I and Sandy, we wanted to get Juan Soto. He was the guy we thought it was going to go Acuna Betts or Acuna Tatis, and we were going to go Soto. And, the shocker happened where Acuna fell to us at 3rd, and we didn't hesitate. We knew we wanted Acuna. 5 category type of player. He could steal close to 30 bags. He was a no-brainer 3rd overall pick.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you said it. Juan Soto we thought we were getting.
Mm-hmm.
Mookie Betts goes first. Juan Soto second. He just fell to us in our laps. We're not going to take anyone else at that point. Yeah. Mookie Betts, I think his ceiling is 30-30, 30 home runs, 30 bags. But I think Ronald Acuna is 40-40. Yeah, 40 homers, 40 bags. And I think he'd be awesome for us on our team. So happy to get Ronald Acuna.
Yeah, and it was funny because you say 40-40. I definitely think that's a benchmark for him, and I think he can do it. The other cool thing was, as I was in the draft with you guys on the platform, I also was on the live stream listening to the analysts kind of talk about the first 2 picks. They were shocked Acuna dropped. And when we saw him on the board, we're like, no question, within like 5 seconds made our draft pick. And I think, that's a huge pick for us. We had no idea that we'd get him at that point. We were talking about Tatis and some other guys at that 3rd position, but ultimately when Acuna fell, it was an instant no-brainer for us. So we're very happy with that first rounder for sure.
No doubt. Yes. So going into our second round, Jeremy said this earlier, the big surprise, Walker Buehler in the first round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was the only pick that surprised me. Everything else was sort of standard, but Walker, right? He's a guy who doesn't really go deep into games. So, seeing him go off as someone's ace like that early was kind of a shocker.
Don't hate it. And also Shane Bieber went before Garrett Cole, which also surprised me in the first round.
Yes, that is surprising.
Swinging back around, second round, you have names like Lindor, Bellinger, Giolito going early. And before us, Bogarts, Eloy, Trevor Bauer into our second round pick, which was DJ LeMahieu.
Yeah, I love DJ. I love the pick. I think we were thinking pitcher here, but we just couldn't. DJ was available. It's crucial in this type of league format because he's eligible at first base, second base, third base, corner infield, and middle infielder. So I think all around, also he's a 5 category type of guy. He'll get us runs. Obviously he had an insane average last year. He's an average type of hitter. I love him that he's back with the Yankees. He's so valuable playing at Yankee Stadium. So I think this was a great pick. We could have went with Max Scherzer as our ace, but I think DJ was the right call.
Yeah, I agree. And just quickly on this pick, I love Yankees guys all around. And I think obviously hitting in that ballpark's a different animal. We'll see a lot of production there from DJ, of course. But I think him hitting in the top of that Yankees powerful lineup, he'll score some runs. He'll get on base. He'll do his thing. And obviously we rounded out. We had another pick, another Yankees player, obviously with Aaron Judge, which we'll get to. But love the Yankees players this year. And I was really pleased to get LeMahieu at second for our second round pick.
So this swings around to our 3rd round pick. Rendon goes first in the 3rd round. Luis Castillo, guy we loved, went right before us. We settled on Jack Flaherty as our 3rd round pick.
Yeah, I think we had to go with an ace here. I think we decided, especially with 9 pitching slots, we had to go pitcher, and it was rather Flaherty, Nola, or Kershaw, and we had to pick one of them. To be honest, I'm not high on all 3, but we had the little insider information from Sandy's buddy that he can speak on. But I mean, Jack Flaherty is a guy who had an insane 2019 and obviously didn't perform very well in 2020 and also didn't look very good in his first spring training game this year. So I don't really know what to expect, but obviously this guy has insane scale.
Yeah, and just to build on that, I think one of the themes we talked about when I appeared on our last Skippers pod was the shortened season, right? And I think, pitchers didn't get in full form that year. Obviously the batters, same situation. So I feel like with a full season, I know one of my buddies was on our live stream during the draft and we were looking for some fan insight there, and he gave his pick of Flaherty. I definitely agree. I think Flaherty in his full last season had a great ERA. I mean, his ERA doubled from 2019 last year. Obviously had less outings, all that stuff, but I definitely like a bounce back year from Flaherty. And he'll produce for us. I definitely think that's a solid third pick there for us.
Yeah, we got to hope that Velo picks up, throws more strikes, a little wild in his first spring outing, but you can't put too much into that. So through the third round, you got names like Clayton Kershaw going, Aaron Nola, Ozzie Albies, JT Realmuto, the first catcher goes. Swinging back, fourth round, we don't pick. Marcelo Zuna, Zach Gallen, George Springer, Yordan Alvarez into our fourth round pick of Aaron Judge. And let me say first, I usually hand this off to someone, but I mean, in a fourth round pick for a guy who can hit 50 home runs and easily 120 RBIs, I think it's a steal. People are going to lay off
I
him
agree.
Injury history, but I think it's a steal.
I mean, that was the chirp on the live stream. The guys were like, when's the last time either Stanton or Judge played a full season? Like, yeah, there might be an injury here or there, but I think they do play, stay healthy this year and play solid games. But again, a guy like Aaron Judge in a 14-team league to get him in the end of the fourth round, early in the fourth round, it's pretty crazy to see that happen. I definitely thought he would have gone earlier. And when we had him on the board, it was a pretty easy no-brainer for us to pick him there.
Yeah, I think also the DJ Judge combo is like a great kind of complementary combo because like Judge will give us home runs and DJ kind of isn't really that home run hitter. But I think that Judge, like people just like think injury, like, I'm not afraid to take a guy who could get injured. I see his upside in here. I definitely see his upside. I'm looking at some of these players drafted before him and I'm like, Judge is a better player. And the Yankees are looking like they have a great squad, and if they're going to be good, Judge is going to be involved. And I think, injuries, as long as they're minor and they're just day to day, we'll be completely fine with this draft pick.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a healthy season. I mean, we're just lucky fantasy managers now. Just got to pray for our guys. So swinging around, Starling Marte goes, Lance Lynn goes, Carlos Carrasco, Josh Hader into our fifth round pick of Corbin Burns.
Yeah, I like this pick. I mean, we needed, Corbin Burns can get us Ks, which is obviously good. I think he's a great SB too. Obviously a little bit of a younger guy. But you know what? I like him on that Brewer squad. And I think he's a great starting pitcher too. I mean, looking at pitchers who are left, we knew we wanted to attack pitchers, and obviously DJ fell to our lap. So we wanted that. And so I think it was a great call picking Burns. I don't even think we really had an argument over who we were going to pick as our pitcher here. I think it was always right after Flaherty. It was like, let's target Burns in the fourth. And that's what we ended up going with.
Yeah, I agree, Jared. We were pretty on the same page on that one. The one thing I did notice is in the Champions League that they did an FSGA league a few days before we did ours. It was very pitcher heavy. Like you saw a ton of starters go early. And like, I think at this point in the the fifth round with this pick, I was pretty happy to get Burns here. As you said, strikeout guy. I like the Brewers overall to have a better season this year. My bounce back candidate was Yelich. I think overall there'll be a better squad and, snag some wins for us with Burns here. And I definitely like this pick in the fifth round here.
Obviously, I love the pick too. It was one of my big guys was Corbin Burns this year. So we go through the fifth. Liam Hendricks goes. Keston Hiura goes, who I always love. Kevin Biggio goes, as well as Luke Voigt, Conforto. Swings around to the sixth. Yohan Moncada, Ketel Marte, who I'm not high on this year. Randy Arozarena, someone finally takes a flyer on him. Then you go Hyun-Jin Ryu, Matt Chapman, Javi Baez. To us, our sixth round pick, we take the second catcher on the board. We take Will Smith of the Dodgers.
I'll take the first on this one. We were chatting. Obviously, I'm a Dodgers guy, so they thought I had a little bias. Jared and Abe did, but we pulled our live stream. A lot of people love the Will Smith pick. I personally have been watching Will Smith since he came into the league, watching most of the Dodger games throughout the years. And I see, he hits the ball well. That guy hits the ball hard. He's a clutch hitter. He can show up. And I think at the catcher position, he was ranked on our rankings 2 or 3 on a lot of boards. So I definitely like getting him here. I know he'll split time a bit with Barnes as well, but I definitely think he'll get the majority of the play there and he'll produce offensively big time this year. And I see, with his swing, he's a guy that can drop bombs too. Like he'll hit big, he'll show up in times, he'll pinch hit games too and hit bombs. Like he did it all last year. So I think he's a hot hitter and he'll hit the ball well and produce numbers this year.
Yeah, we talked about this before about how we wanted to kind of attack the catcher position. 2 catchers that's 28 catchers in the league that have to be in your starting lineup. And I think that we were like, I was kind of shocked. Like this was the second catcher off the board. And like, I thought everyone was kind of like, there's 4 big dogs at the catcher's position. There's Contreras, there's Perez, there's Smith is now in that mix. And then you have JT, and JT went in the 3rd round. I was kind of shocked. Like no one's targeting catchers, like 2 catchers. We need a guy that's going to play and produce at that position, or else it's a massive disadvantage. So I think it was the right call going Will Smith.
No doubt. I mean, it's so thin. You're right. Targeting a guy who's young, obviously offensive production declines steadily. Not steadily, rapidly when you're a catcher with age. So, I mean, getting a guy young, I love the pick with Will Smith. So turning around, Rizzo goes, Brandlau goes, Hendricks, Charlie Blackmon into one of our must draft players. I mean, we can talk the talk all we want, but we're taking most of our guys that we're trying to say in our videos that you must draft. So Jose Berrios goes to our team.
Yeah, I think that we obviously had him in our earlier videos. If no one has checked that out, check it out. But I think that this guy was the ace for Minnesota in 2019. 2020 comes around, they get Kenta Maeda, and Kenta Maeda goes off, and Berrios kind of goes down. And you know what? This Twins plays in an easy division. We needed a guy with wins. We had Burns. We're not too sure how many wins he's going to get. We have Flaherty. Who knows what the Cardinals are going to be? But let's get someone who can get us the win category. And we know Berrios, obviously he didn't have a very good record last year, but I am confident that he can have a good record this year with the Twins.
Yeah, I agree. I like the Twins overall this year. And you saw what Kenta Maeda came in and did last year. I mean, he was putting up career numbers. And as a Dodgers fan, I watched Kenta for a lot of years, but Berrios is going to be a guy this year where I see he went 5-4 last year, which is something I don't think we'll see this year. I think he'll do much better. He had a 4 ERA. So I definitely think he brings that down and produces this year. I like him as coming up and scoring points and getting us wins. I think that's a huge thing too, is securing a win. I like that from the Twins. I love the Twins. Saw what they did last year. So definitely confident in Berrios this year.
So that's our 7th round pick. The next pick, Nick Castellanos, one of my must draft players, goes next. I mean, I'm sad we missed out on him, but way she goes. 2 catchers go next. U.S. Integrity and FanDuel take Wilson Contreras, Salvador Perez. Ian Anderson goes as well. Zach Greinke, Framber Valdez goes to Jim Bowden of SiriusXM, who I'm not too high on, but Jim Bowden, former MLB GM, he must know a couple things. He turns around another young lefty, Jesus Luzardo. Who else do we have here? Jose Altuve, Chris Paddock, Will Myers. Will Myers went a little too high, in my opinion. People are just really happy about his 60 games. Then you go JD Martinez, Yastrzemski, Diaz, Dinelson, Lamet, and us, our 8th round pick. Guy who's also often injured, we take Carlos Correa as our shortstop.
Yeah, I think this was we needed a shortstop. We talked about it. We said we need a shortstop. Obviously, shortstop gets a little thin. There was a lot of shortstops taken off the board. I think we were looking at it, and it was rather, okay, do we wait? If we don't take Carlos Correa here, we rather wait till we get a deep kind of sleeper shortstop, or like Marcus Semien was the other option. But it's like we didn't know if he was going to play. Like he's too risky. Like who knows what he's going to bat in that Jays lineup. Now we realize that he potentially could be batting 2 to 3. So that could be kind of potentially could have been a good draft pick. But I think Carlos Correa, he's a guy who's going to play every day in the Astros lineup. He's going to be top of the lineup. I know they talk about injuries, but you know what? He was definitely the most star-studded talent in that shortstop position left on the board.
Yeah, I agree. And just quickly on that note, you heard the analysts on the FSGA live stream talk about, losing Springer, obviously, and then, injuries. That's a kind of a theme. We heard the same with Judge, but at the end of the day, is like, we're the kind of guys that, if he stays healthy, Correa is going to produce one way or another. Like we've seen him over the years in the playoffs do his thing. He's a big time player. So I definitely think, at the 8th round, I'm happy to grab him then. No problem with me. And I think, as I said, if he stays healthy, he'll produce big this year.
Exactly. If he stays healthy, him and Judge, no one bats an eye. These are no doubt picks, but we need them to stay healthy. So swings around to the 9th round, Charlie Morton, Raisel Iglesias, Ryan Presley, Marcus Semien, and then we take a flyer on a rookie from the Philadelphia Phillies, our first baseman, 3rd baseman, Alec Bohm.
Yeah, we talked about first base and first base being a little thinner. And I think we obviously looked at a guy that, this is a young guy who hits the ball hard, who had a pretty good 2020 year. So, I mean, we took a chance on him. We kind of had a little argument, but we weren't sure if we should take the chance on him. And then we decided to pull the trigger and take the chance on him. I think that he is definitely a risky pick, but I mean, I think the Phillies will actually be good this year. So I like Alec Bohm.
Yeah, we were debating between, I remember this was probably one of the most tense picks we made that I remember, at least, of that day. We were talking about Chris Bryant as well, and another guy we talked about in the last pod, how he could have a bounce back year, but I'm cool with Alec Bohm here. I think his production will be good this year. I don't know, man. Like, it was hard for me to go against Chris Bryant after all the years of what he's done, but I think the potential for Alec Bohm to go off is huge, and I love him this year.
Yeah, I think he's going to help that batting average stat a ton. So run through the ninth round. Brian Hayes goes, another rookie, third baseman. Eddie Rosario goes, Julio Urias, Mike Moustakas swings around the next round. We got like Patrick Corbin going. Chris Bryant goes, two guys that I'm high on as bounce back candidates. Then Brad Hand, Gio Urshela, Ramon Laureano goes one pick before us. In the 10th round, we selected Taylor Rodgers, reliever for the Minnesota Twins.
Yeah, there was talk. We need obviously saves a category here. And, we want someone who's going to get consistent opportunities. And Taylor Rodgers has just been a veteran on that Twins lineup. I know there's talk about potentially his role of not being the closer anymore, but come on, this guy's a veteran on this team. There's just no reason why to take him out of that closing role. And, the Twins are going to have like a good amount of opportunities for save opportunities. So even if it's a mix between, he's still valuable. The Twins are going to produce wins, and I think Taylor Rodgers is a great pick for our relieving core, so to say.
Yeah, that was kind of the thing, is the pitcher slots weren't designated, so it's like you kind of break it down off your strategy, and that was kind of the thing. I like Taylor Rodgers this year. He was said to maybe not get that role, but I think obviously if he does, he'll step up, and I think he'll be that guy for us. But yeah, again, that was one of the things the ESPN guy, I forgot his name off the top of my head, but they were talking about that after the fact when Ave called into the show. But yeah, I definitely like him, and I think he could produce for us this year for sure.
Yeah, they were talking about Alex Colomé getting some of those save opportunities, but I don't know. From what Steve Phillips, who said on the show, he said he talked to Taylor Rodgers that day. Seemed like he was going to have the opportunity to save. I mean, as a lefty closer, I mean, not great for matchups, but I think he's going to get the saves this year. So we roll through 10. Alex Verdugo goes to end the 10th. Leody Taveras goes to start the 11th. Then we select Josh Bell in the 11th round.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of my bounce back candidates. Josh Bell, I actually heard something about how not seeing his film actually affected his at-bat with COVID. They weren't allowed to review film or something like that, and the whole Astros thing. But no, this guy, like I was telling Avery on our episode, and you, Sandy, it was like, his launch angle made no sense from his previous years, and he's playing in a way better lineup. He's going from Pittsburgh to Washington. He's playing behind Turner and Soto. It's a massive advantage for Bell. Like, he's going to have so many opportunities for RBIs, and we needed a guy to get us RBIs and home runs to complement Judge. And I think this was a great pickup.
Yeah, I agree. I like Josh Bell a lot, and there's been some sentiment around him this coming in this year, but I like him from a power perspective. You saw what that guy did 2 years ago. Like, that guy was dropping bombs, man. And I think if he even has if he resembles any of that season and we have him in the lineup, like, he's going to produce for us. And I love him this year. And I think that power potential is crazy. And I'm bullish on him this season. So hoping he can step up and produce like he did. And if he does, we'll see some great success for our team this year.
Yep.
So round 11, the next pick after us, I think is the worst pick in the draft. Corey Kluber. People like Joey Gallo, Dylan Carlson goes, Dylan Moore goes, Mike Soroka goes, the guy we were targeting, to Jim Bowden. Then swinging around, Donaldson, Gary Sanchez, Craig Kimbrell, Dustin May, Victor Robles, into the most talked about pick probably of the draft. Thing. We select Shohei Ohtani in the 12th round in a league where we have to designate if he's either a hitter or a pitcher every week.
Yeah, I mean, this was obviously the most. I mean, Ohtani's always causing controversy. When do you draft him? Can he be trusted? I mean, we saw what this guy can do. I mean, any pitcher who throws 100 miles per hour and has a nasty breaking ball. Like, sometimes we forget how nasty his off speed actually is. And I think this is, I like the way that he's not a pitcher. He's not just a hitter. we get to pick each week. I think based off our matchup, like if we think our rotation can beat the other rotation, we will put him as a hitter. Obviously they're saying he won't play as many games, but that's just the way it is. I mean, you have a guy who can pitch, even if he pitches 1 game a week. I don't care. He goes 6 or 7 or 8. This guy gets strikeouts, and obviously injuries are an issue, but I think that he could bounce back this year. I seriously do.
I do too. And I think the biggest thing you pointed out, Jer, is why a lot of people pass on him is because we have to designate him as a batter or pitcher at the beginning of the week. But at the end of the day, it's this guy's throwing. I mean, we saw the report about him throwing triple digits the other day, but he had control issues. He's had injury issues. I'm excited to see how he bounces back, because if he does bounce back, we know what he can do at the plate, but off the mound, I mean, I see him, like you said, Jer, if we have, if we're confident in our matchups that week on the pitching side, we'll definitely give him a run as a batter. But I think it's going to come down to managing him properly, and that's going to be a lot of work on us on a weekly basis. But other than that, I like him this year.
Yeah, they were talking about that being a headache. I mean, it's what we do for our job. It's
not
a headache for us.
We love
it's not a headache.
We step
daily
up to the
routine
plate
for us.
And I just think the control issues come from being injured, elbow injuries, things like that.
Yeah.
So I'm not too worried about that. Tommy Edman goes in the 12th round. Jared Walsh ends the 12th round. Reese Hoskins starts the 13th round. Justin Turner goes. And then we take my guy, one of my favorite picks in the whole draft, Ian Happ, in round 13. I mean, I'll talk about it first. He was on my guys who must draft. Incredible numbers for a guy with tons of eligibility all over the field. He can hit home runs. I mean, he's played in one combined season. He's hit like 30 home runs at this point. Disgustingly terrible slash lines after he hit himself in the eye last year. So, I mean, that was concerning. That's why people are off Ian Happ, but I can see him easily being a top 10 player at that position. So I'm very happy to take Ian Happ at that spot.
Yeah, I know Avery's big on him. I didn't really know too much. I've never really looked into his stats too much. I just know who he is. But then when Avery said, I was kind of like, okay, I looked into it, and yeah, he's right. He's impressive. He could steal bases too, which is big for us. Cause if we're going to go Acuna with our 3rd pick, we had to change our strategy. It was kind of like, okay, we need some steals. Like if we had Soto, it was kind of like, we were almost kind of not like pushing the category aside, but we're already at a massive disadvantage for steals getting Soto at 3. So I think Ian Happ, and I was kind of surprised on Twitter. There's a couple FanTrack guys who are actually big on Ian Happ too. So I like the pick.
Yeah, I like him too. And when you guys drafted him, I went and did some numbers after, but his exit velocity is over the 85th percentile in all the MLB last year. His hard hit percentage, he's in the 90th percentile. So you're seeing those are 2 huge stats. And then his barrel percentage is in the 70th or above percentile. So those are 3 great numbers you like to look at there. I think he has a big year this year, and obviously he's a utility guy you can throw around. So I like him a lot.
So the 13th round carries on. James McCann, Frankie Montas, Jorge Soler, Dallas Keuchel, some of the names going. Switches to the 14th round. Max Kepler, Mitch Garver goes. Clint Frazier, a guy that we liked, goes. Sean Murphy, check that video out on Thursday for Sean Murphy. I guess it comes out after, so make sure you watch the video. Love Sean Murphy. He goes before us. Then who else? Who we have here? Ryan Mountcastle from the Orioles goes. Then we select Devin Williams, one of my favorite picks too. Devin Williams of the Brewers.
Yeah, Avery mentioned he liked him too. He was big on getting him, and you know what? This guy was absolutely crazy good in 2020. I don't know if anyone actually knows his exact ERA, but I know wasn't it below 1?
It was his exact ERA I have in front of me was 0.33 last year in 22 games. And he threw 27 innings. So I mean, that's insane. Honestly, really insane.
And you know what? When we drafted him, we were just thinking, okay, he's gonna get good innings, and let's just draft a really good pitcher here. We need another reliever, sort of thing was kind of our strategy. And then they were talking after, and it makes sense that he might be the Brewers' closer this year. I mean, Josh Hader's the type of guy who they usually have in a position where he'll throw both the 7th and 8th, and he's not really the type of guy who just throws the 9th. And I think Devin Williams might be that guy for the Brewers. And if he is, this was an absolute steal for where we got him.
Yeah, categories where we need saves and strikeouts. I mean, these are both good positions for Devin Williams. Probably has possibly the best pitch in baseball with that changeup. I mean, I'm not going to take Devin Williams at this point.
Yeah,
so
I love the pick as well.
Gene Segura goes in the 14th. Zach Eflin, Zach Davies goes. Then we take another flyer on a young guy, Nick Madrigal, in the 15th round.
Yeah, I was a big fan of this pick. I think that, we had DJ, but we could play DJ wherever we want. We still have that middle infielder position that wasn't filled because we have Carlos playing at short. I think this guy is strictly like he's not gonna shock us. Like this guy is, dude, hit for average, hit over 300 for us, and we'll be fine. He'll help us with that category. Also on base. Plus, this guy's got speed, and we kind of were talking like, okay, if we're gonna have Acuna, we need to take advantage of the steal category, and we needed another guy who swipes bags, and this was the guy we were gonna get, average and steals. I like this pick.
Yeah, I do as well. He's the number 3 White Sox prospect, and he's number 36 in the top 100. I see a lot of output from him on the steal side. His sprint speed is in the 78th percentile or above that. So as you said, Jerry, average and stolen bases. So I think that's a category where we look to make a lot of marks. And a lot of the analysts actually on the live stream said steals is a place where, you could take advantage week over week. So that's definitely something we looked at here for sure.
Yeah, kind of injured to start this year, hit over 300 last year in a short time. So, I mean, I'm not going to say we dislike any of our picks. We all like them. So I like this Nick Madrigal pick. Keep going. People like Chris Taylor go, AJ Pollock, Marcus Stroman, a guy that we were targeting, goes in this round.
Yeah.
So that was tough without him. Tyler Mahle, a guy I'm high on as well, goes. Buster Posey, who people are saying could be a top 10 catcher, goes. I do not next year. It's around 16th round. German Marquez, Matt Barnes goes. Christian Javier, Mark Hanna, Kyle Schwarber, Drew Smiley, Rafael Montero, and then we take flyer on another young guy, Dalton Varsho.
Yeah, looking back, I'm still a little skeptical on this pick. Looking at guys like potentially Wilson Ramos could have been an option to be our second catcher. I have no clue what to expect from this kid at all. That's bottom line. I know Avery, you know a little bit about him, about his past in college, but I have no clue how this guy's gonna be. I know Carson Kelly was shit last year. That's what I know. So
yeah.
So
for me, I was the same
he's competing.
Way. Go ahead. No, go ahead, Eve.
So I know Dalton Varsho. I like Dalton Varsho.
Mm-hmm.
Switch hitting, catcher, and outfielder. Someone who plays center field and catches. Like who else does that? So having
weird.
that ability
is weird.
Is really weird. I could see him winning the center field spot instead of Ketel Marte. I doubt it's going to happen out of camp, but what did he hit? 185 in his few games last year.
Yeah.
He's a very good hitter. I mean, we need to just trust me on this one. I think Dalton Varsho is going to work out.
All right, this is Ave.
All right, this is an Ave pick because I didn't have a ton of insight here when you guys made the pick. I was like, all right, you guys
had no clue
the show
this
here.
Guy was.
Yeah, I was like, do your thing. But yeah, you see Wilson Ramos went 2 rounds after. So I think that's a guy I probably would have picked over him. But again, like, hey, if he produces this year, Ave, I'm going to trust Ave on this one. And then you'll have the last laugh. So we'll see.
Like I said, we got to risk it a little bit if we want to make some waves in this league.
Yeah.
All right, next round, Mitch Haniger goes, Cole Calhoun goes, and then we take Sean Manaea of the Oakland A's.
Yeah, I think we were looking for our SP4, I guess here. No, SP5. Otani's kind of an SP4, but we're not too sure how we're going to use him. We were kind of looking for a guy who's just going to get consistent innings. It's going to be in the rotation. And I think looking at who was left on the board, I think this was a good pick. I mean, he's not going to be, he's had injury issues, but I mean, he's solidified that Oakland rotation. So good lefty. I don't mind this pick, but I don't think it's anything crazy, but we just need someone who gets innings there.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jared. Again, nothing going to blow your feet off here, but I think he's great. He doesn't walk a ton of guys. His whiff rate's low, his fastball velocity is pretty low, but again, I think he's a guy who's going to eat innings, and he's solidified, as you said, in that athletics rotation. So definitely a guy that, could bring us value this year.
Yeah. We don't have to worry about him,
No, pitcher friendly park too. Like I'm not too worried about like really inflated numbers from him this year, as long as he stays healthy. Yeah. So it's the 18th round. We're just going to run through the rest of our picks right now.
Yeah.
Maybe some big news today, Jer, on our 18th round pick of Aaron Hicks.
I was kind of worried about our outfield, like just looking back at the roster. I was like, okay, we got Acuna, we got Judge, we got Ian Happ, who's kind of like, obviously we think we have high hopes for him, but he's nothing like, we could trust. And then we were thinking, with this pick, we kind of were like, let's just get a veteran here. And we picked Aaron Hicks. And then today we find out that he's batting. Aaron Boone wants him to bat third for the Yankees. This guy's value skyrockets, batting 3 for the Yankees. Like, that's just crazy. And we got to hope he gets hot early, I think, because if he does, then he'll stay in that spot. But I mean, crazy good news for us.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I didn't even believe you when you said that, to be honest, in that lineup especially. But as I said, 18th round with a 14-team league, I mean, if he's hitting in the 3-hole, that value is not 18th round value, if you know what I mean. So I think there's, big upside there if that's actually true. And if it holds, if he holds solid in that lineup there.
I mean, you just got to see the next outfielder taken was Andrew McCutchen. And I think he's 10 times better than Andrew McCutchen this year.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy with that.
Yeah.
Our next pick, 19th round, guy we're all high on, I'm pretty sure, is Gavin Lux.
Love this play. I'm gonna kick this one off. Again, I kicked it off with Will Smith. I'll do it with Gavin Lux again. Gavin Lux, didn't get much of an opportunity last year. We had guys like Kike Hernandez playing, over him, and a lot of guys at second. There wasn't as much opportunity. Obviously, the Dodgers losing Jock. They lost Hernandez this year. So I think he's going to get some serious run. He was like our top prospect, and he was so hyped up coming into that year. He had a down year last year a bit. But again, he's a guy that I think will have a great chance to explode this year. And I think he'll get his opportunities. So it's all comes down to if he performs. But I think he'll get, his chances fair enough at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think Sandy hit it on the dot there. If we were looking for a second kind of mid-infield second baseman, I would have said, hell no, we're not taking Gavin Lux. But you know what? He's our third second baseman on the team. He still wasn't gone, which was at the 19th round in a 14-man, which is kind of wild. I mean, if this guy is like, they play him and he's playing insane and then he's starting for the rest of the year, you're like, this is a type of guy who's like an below 8th round pick. Like, this is crazy talent on this kid. Some people forget, and we can afford to just wait until he plays. And I think that's going to happen this year. We saw what he did in spring training this year. He looks good. He has a good stroke. He's fast. He's speedy. And I think this is a great pick.
I mean, I can't complain with the pick at all. I think we got a steal here. So we'll go to our 20 and 21st round. We take two pitchers, Ryan Yarbrough of the Rays, Adam Ottavino of Boston. I'll go on the Ottavino. Yarbrough, you're taking a Rays pitcher. I mean, consistency. That's all you
I was big on this pick. I really like this pick because he had one of the best whips in the MLB, and he consistently does, which is one of the categories.
Yeah. So I like Yarbrough for sure. I listened to you on that pick. Then we go to Ottavino. I mean, Matt Barnes is the guy in Boston, but Ottavino's next up. I mean, he had good numbers, Colorado, good numbers the Yankees a couple years ago, bad year last year. I don't know if we can totally write him off, but I'm willing to take a chance on him.
Yeah, I think Abe, you hit it there that like Barnes is the guy, but like there was times where it's like, who is the guy in Boston? Like, it's like, it seems like it's always kind of a talk. Like, who's our guy?
They also weren't winning games.
Yeah, they weren't winning games. So I don't really know what to expect from Boston. Like, I think they'll be better. Like, should they be better? Like, I really don't. Like,
I mean, one of our bounce back guys was JD Martinez, and I think the Boston they had the Betts thing happen. I mean, what a criminal whole situation there. But at the end of the day, they have like Verdugo still there. They have some young talent. I think they'll be better this year overall. And I like the pick as well. Again, I don't think we're writing anyone off at this point. We're going to see, but I definitely think Boston overall is a better season. So I think that will raise the production there.
So around 22 and 23, we select utility man Paul DeJong, St. Louis Cardinals, then Alex Dickerson, outfielder of the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah, I like Paul as a backup for Correa if he ever gets injured. I think that this guy hits homers, and which is a big, obviously, plus. But playing for that Cardinals team, he's the shortstop there. I'm surprised he was actually still available, to be honest. It's pretty late in the draft, and we saw him, and we were like, okay, let's get our backup shortstop here, and we got it. And then Dickerson is a guy who he always surprises people. He always has that average close to 300. He's playing on the Giants. He's high up on the Giants in their batting order. I think he hits 3 for them. So I like both these picks.
And Giants surprisingly good last year, surprisingly good offensively. So we're just hoping we can ride that consistency. Paul DeJong is going to strike out. He's not going to have a great average, but he can hit homers. Then the consistency of Alex Dickerson with that average, I can't say no.
Yeah. I mean, he hit 298 last year, Jerry. You almost got that average perfectly. But yeah, a guy that's hitting that number. And again, San Francisco surprised us last year. I mean, I watched a ton of those games being a Dodgers fan. So they were surprising a lot of people last year with that lineup. And I think if if they continue that pace, he'll be, he'll be a piece of that big time. So we'll see.
Rounds 24, 25, 26. We go a guy, Jeremy begged us to take Spencer Howard, Joey Wendell from the Rays, and then Madison Bumgarner.
Yeah. I mean, looking at the starting pitchers left, and there was like, we kind of wanted another SB to our rotation. And it was kind of like Bumgarner is just getting worse and worse every year. Obviously the shortened season, even taking out the shortened season, he's gotten worse. We could have went with Bumgarner. Actually, we did go Bumgarner really later. We actually almost went Bumgarner though here for Howard. I remember talking about it. But Spencer Howard kind of reminds me of Nate Pearson and how they both had bad first years in the MLB. I don't know. This is a guy who was a top prospect in the Phillies organization. It just depends on when he gets the call again to be in that rotation, and he's got good stuff. And taking a young guy late like this, I don't mind taking the risk here. I'd rather have a young guy than a veteran who's getting worse.
I mean, I think Spencer Howard is our first drop of the season. If we're gonna be honest,
technically no, because you already dropped Puig, didn't you?
Yeah, I did drop Puig. But
were you gonna skip over him in this draft board here?
No, I was gonna talk about Puig. How we didn't have much Puig news, and then Steve Phillips comes on and says no one wants to sign him ever. Yeah. But Joey Wendell hits the ball about as weak as anyone. We took him. Maybe he's an average guy.
Matchup guy, maybe.
He can play wherever. Baumgartner, I think bounce back year for him for sure.
I like Mad Bomb. I just like his energy. Like that's one of those guys who's going to go out there and fight every time he's on the mound. And I think, at the, what do we get him? The 26th round here. I think that's some value, right? I mean, he's a veteran. He's been doing it forever. I know he's on the back nine of his career here, but he's one of those guys that's just going to fight it every single time. So I don't mind taking him 26.
Kind of reminds me of Rich Hill. Who went in this round as well. But I mean, Baumgartner, I don't know, his velocity isn't where it used to be, obviously.
Well, neither is Rich Hill. They're pretty much the same.
Yeah, they're pretty much the same. Rich Hill
won a couple World Series, though.
Yeah, the other guy didn't.
Yeah.
We know.
So 27, 28, 29, rounding out the draft, we go Yasiel Puig, who's no longer on the team, Jordan Romano, reliever for the Blue Jays, and Shogo Akiyama of the Reds.
Yeah, I think we picked Romano. Was there any reason why we picked Romano?
I felt like that was a homebody pick.
Yeah, I think that was
Jay on the roster, right?
He's not going to get. I know Avery's hoping that he gets save opportunities, but I think they're just going to ride Kirby Yates like fucking 24/7.
I think Romano gets 10 saves this year.
Yeah, I can see that. I think though he is a drop candidate if someone is looking good.
If someone's curious.
If someone looks good pitching, like first week, we're picking him up probably.
So Puig we dropped because it sounds like no one wants to sign him. We got Jazz Chisholm instead, switch hitting guy who I think could break camp with the Marlins. Hopefully surprise them again, but decent power, like speed guy for the Marlins playing second base.
Is that guy young?
Yeah, from the Bahamas. Okay. I played with his best friend at college. So I mean,
Homer
maybe
pick, love it.
So that was good. Yeah, Puig, Akiyama. I mean, who knows about the Reds?
This was last round pick. Usually, I think like
dartboard season right here for sure.
We're just taking a risk here. He's a guy who sometimes like bats lead off and like maybe he out of camp they're like he's lead off. I think we're just shooting something here, like because if he's lead off, he's super valuable. He's got speed, but if he's not lead off, he's probably batting 9 or 8. And
we have bench spots for a reason.
Yeah, bench spots for a reason.
100%.
This is just take a risk on a guy. I mean, I'm looking at the last round and there wasn't really no one really took a risk on only the one guy who picked Tanaka, and I don't know if that was just a joke, but because he signed in Japan.
Yeah, that was okay. We got laughed at for Shohei in that pick, but that was an all-time. That must have been like a running joke with their guys or something, because the guys doesn't even play in the league anymore.
They put in the draft chat that they didn't mean to take him, so that was that's what happened there.
So some of these other guys, I don't even know who they are. Yimi Garcia.
I know Yimi Garcia.
I know Yimi Garcia.
Is he he's a starter or reliever? He's on
Miami reliever.
Yeah, he's reliever.
And then Garrett Crochet goes, a guy that I was really high on. I wish we could have gotten. Goes the last pick. I mean, any final notes from you boys?
For me,
yeah.
I'll
Sandy,
start, and then Jerry, you can round it
yeah.
off. Since you guys were the real general manager of the show, I was, the guest appearance. I was running the live stream and, chiming in some insight and some picks. But overall, I mean, looking at the board, I thought we drafted an unreal team. Obviously, no one wins fantasy championships right after the draft or before the season starts, but I like our chances this year. I think we're going to be competitive. And Ave, when you went on that live stream, which we'll show at the end of the episode here, they loved the squad. They asked you about a couple of picks. I think overall the sentiment was that we drafted a great team, and it was our first year in the MLB draft, so I think, breaking the ice, we did our job, but again, there's a lot more work to do on a management basis that, we're going to put time in, we're going to, put in the work and hopefully come back and do another episode after we won the whole thing. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I think that, Avery went on that call and they said they liked our top half. And then obviously the Hicks news comes out, which obviously is massive for our team. I think that obviously like the bottom half of our draft wasn't great, but we have 1 minute to decide who the hell we want. So obviously that's not an excuse, but no, I like the team. I think overall we're pretty balanced. We got guys who hit for average. I think pretty good on the steal category even, which is a pretty question mark category all around. They said it's like the biggest year where it's like the most question marks. Like who knows who's getting steals this year.
But also with trades, I think they said on the live stream that steals is obviously the easiest position to pick up, kind of the midway point. But I'm really happy with the team. It was an honor to draft with everyone. Thanks for tuning in to the show. A little longer episode here for you, a little in-draft strategy. But thanks for tuning in. See you guys next time.